All right, today I want to talk to the boys. So, this is something I've been thinking about quite a bit and has been part of my kind of personal journey of change over the last several years of my life is this subject of sports fanhood and really sports fanaticism when it comes to stealing your attention from things much more important in your life and how we can hopefully change that. And what better time to talk about that than as we go into March Madness? I think it's a fact that the next 2 days are the most watched time in all of sports for the whole year in America. That it's like literally like a measurable decrease in productivity because so many people are watching the first 2 rounds of the NCAA tournament as it begins. So I'll start by kind of talking about my personal story when it comes to sports fanhood. I grew up playing sports my entire life, my entire youth, football, basketball, and track. Basically, from the time I was, 8, 9 years old until I graduated from high school for a good 10 plus years. Played most of those sports. And that's one distinction I want to make, right? Is playing sports versus just viewing sports is it two very different things. Being actively engaged, being on a team, uh, being physically active, all those things are great. When it comes to actually engaging in a sport in a healthy way. But I don't think it's any stretch of an argument to say that most American men have a massively unhealthy relationship to sports, particularly when it comes to fanhood. And there's an entire system of bad incentives built around driving that, um, because it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. Not when you add all the sports leagues up, professional and college, probably tens, if not hundreds of billions of dollars per year. And then when you add in gambling and the availability now of sports betting and things like that, it just keeps ballooning. And the truth is that when it comes to being a sports fan, uh, it is like truly the male version of like soap operas and trash TV, right? It just consumes your energy and attention away from other things onto something that is fundamentally like meaningless and really makes no impact in your life or in the world who wins what ball game when. Um, sometimes it can be a good way to have like a very beginning introductory relationship with somebody, realizing that you're part of the same fanhood or maybe opposing. But even that can be super unhealthy, and in its best form, it's a very surface level, kind of empty way to know someone, and crazy that people do genuinely like harshly judge others based on their sports fanhood, and that's something I did in the past as well, right? But I started to kind of realize this over the past 5 or 6 years myself when I just realized like I'm like spending so much time, and it's not just watching the games, right? Because I was like Purdue fan, Colts fan, Pacers fan. I'm from Indiana. Not just watching the games, but then like watching ESPN and the analysis for hours, watching the pre and post game, um, doing a fantasy league and setting my lineup and doing research. And it's like none of this is a constructive use of time. It finally dawned on me. It took a lot of time to realize that, and like me putting energy into other aspects of my life that I was trying to change anyway. I've kind of gone through like a big change in terms of trying to escape my corporate job, um, working on building my own house, starting a farm, and it's just like this no longer aligns with the goals that I have in life for myself, right? And I need to reclaim this time and attention and focus it on things that are much more constructive, not only for myself, but also for the world in general, because I'm a big believer that, right now, if you just look at the world needs your attention in a positive way. We can't just keep sticking our head in the sand and hoping things will get better while, like World War III is basically unfolding and starting right before our eyes and getting worse and worse every day. You think about things like the Epstein files and how immoral the leadership of the world is. The world needs your attention and time more than ever right now. And your personal life probably needs your attention right now more than ever, because there's a lot of people going through personal crises, especially as things get more expensive, as we're in like the death throes of the American empire and Western capitalism, which is really the only way to explain what's going on right now. And sports within the American context, and I'm sure even within Europe, they have their whole fanaticism with soccer hooligans and things like that. But in America, it seems like, I guess that's what I'll speak to, because that's what I'm most familiar with, but it seems like it's on a whole other level, even because it's across multiple different leagues and sports and college and professional. And right, like there's a direct correlation, not only when it comes to individual human beings, but also when it comes to systems and structures and institutions, that the more wealthy and powerful that human being, individual, or institution get, the more immoral they become, right? The more money that amasses for certain incentives and certain economic drivers, the more immoral decisions will be made to capture money and power and influence. And we see that in sports clearly, right? And people complain about it all the time, but they still watch. But, like college sports, for example, just over my youth, all the scandals with people getting paid. Now it's illegal to pay them. I'm not even saying I'm against that, because they probably should get paid for their name, image, and likeness. The fundamental problem is it shouldn't be a multi-billion-dollar a year industry, right? $100 billion a year industry. And the only reason it is because so many of us give our time and attention to it, right? If we stopped doing that, it would no longer have that amount of money. And this passes on to professional as well, right? This is not just about college, it's about all sports, all leagues, football, basketball, baseball, hockey, everything. And the more time and attention we give it, the more revenue it generates through advertisements, through subscriptions, through gambling. I mean, that's what's one of the most sad and disgusting things, is like every sports analysis channel, whether it's like corporate or independent, right? Like ESPN or the Pat McAfee show, like they're all sponsored by FanDuel and DraftKings and all these gambling apps that are just meant to not only, they've been massively successful in extracting your time and attention from you over the past many decades of these sports growing and influence in our culture, and now they're extracting your money from you directly. So it's like, it is fully a capitalist extraction model, just like every other industry, every other fuel that runs Western society. It's in lockstep and matches with it perfectly. And it is, yet again, another symptom, an indicator of what needs to change in this world. So that's what I'll say is, take some stock of what are the things in your life that probably need attention, and your energy put onto them in a positive way, so they can change for the better. And even better is if you can align those personal changes with things that are also better for the world, right? So if your idea of a personal positive change is just like amassing more money so you can buy a nice house and Lamborghini, like you probably need to reassess, right? We don't need to keep focusing on amassing materialistic things. And sports is, again, another perfect indicator of that. People worship athletes and they are multimillionaires, and they show off their flashy lifestyles. The teams they play on are owned by billionaires who like are in the Epstein files, literally. Like look up New York Giants owner, and I'm sure there's many others. So like that's who you're giving your time and money and energy and attention to, are some of the most evil and malevolent people on this planet. And if you haven't dove into all of that, I highly encourage you to, because maybe that's the push you need to make change, because you should not want to give your time, energy, attention, and money to those people. You should keep it for the benefit of yourself and your family and your community. So that's kind of my message going into March Madness. You know, calm down, relax, stop giving it so much time and energy and emotion. It's not something that is that serious at the end of the day. The world needs your attention. Your life needs your attention. Sports do not need your attention. Have a healthy relationship, and that healthy relationship probably centers more around playing them for physical activity and for genuine community with the people that you would play them with, rather than just sitting on your couch or sitting in a bar, drinking, gambling, and spending hours upon hours getting upset about the outcomes of things that you have zero control over. Thanks.